This morning on Denver 7 News at 6 a.m., crews are making progress on wildfires burning in Boulder and Larimer counties this morning. And nearly 3 months after the Marshall Fire, people are finally getting answers about the cleanup.
I'm Denver 7's Christian Lopez. We're breaking down what's on the agenda as climate experts remind us fire season is now year-round.
New this morning, Aurora approves a homeless camping ban taking effect in weeks. Now the city's mayor is turning his attention to conserving water.
And the Denver Broncos still don't have a new owner, but we're getting insight into what the team is looking for.
We want a person that is going to be present and is going to be engaged.
Plus, an update on repairs after a fire at Empower Field and the possibility of a new stadium. See, the Broncos CEO puts the idea in our heads of a new stadium. Now we can't let it go.
And a fire just happened to break out there.
Yes. Wait until you hear the price tag, though, that would come along with that new stadium. That's coming up. Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. Lisa here, a mile high. No activities really out there today, but it could get a little rain, huh?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, here by mid-morning, we're going to start to see some of that wet weather roll east over the I-25 corridor. It's definitely wet out west this morning. We're seeing scattered rain and snow showers, and in our northern and central mountains above about 10,000 feet, we'll pick up a good 5 to 10 inches here in the next 24 hours. Denver's going to see mainly just wet and cooler conditions coming off of a day of 80s yesterday to about 25 to near 30 degrees cooler today, and we're just going to hover in that low mid 50 degree range today. So your fresh air forecast, not as warm, not as pleasant as what we saw yesterday, but this is great news. Fire danger has been way too high, so we needed the higher humidities, the rain, and the cooler weather. Mid to upper 40s for the foothills today, 50s for the plains. Quick look at Futurecast, and again, you can see how things are going to change here a bit more by mid-morning with some rain starting to develop and snow, Jason, in the mountains.
And right now we are seeing that snow in the mountains and wet roadways along I-70 and other parts of the high country where we do have some chain and even traction laws. This is up in Glenwood Springs where you can see in the Grand Avenue Bridge just the wet conditions here with some very light snow, but along Highway 160 near Durango and Silverton, you're going to have some snow up there. Also on Highway 5, well, that's 550, 160 over by Coastal Springs. You're going to find some of the snow up there too over Wolf Creek Pass. Take a look at the drive here in town. This is on 270, the eastbound side going away from us towards the refinery. Very typical slow go for us here this morning developing. Not too bad yet as you see on the drive times. It's very typical for us on I-70 and 270 and I-76 to start to see that traffic build up here in the next 10 to 15 minutes and really start to congest the freeways. The west side should stay fairly quiet as well as the Denver Tech Center until later on this morning. And right now the drive across Aurora and the south side, Highlands Ranch, looks good.
Hopefully the weather will help this situation today. Firefighters are still working to contain 2 wildfires burning along the Front Range right now. The latest is the Soulshine fire burning east of Estes Park. 9 homes had to be evacuated south of Highway 74. It's about 25 acres in size and 30% contained.
And we'll get an update on the NCAR fire at 10 this morning. This fire burned about 190 acres south of Boulder and is now 70% contained. El Dorado Canyon reopens this morning.
Also, tomorrow marks 3 months since the Marshall Fire. Christian Lopez joins us live from Louisville this morning because homeowners are finally getting answers about debris removal after weeks of a legal battle.
Yeah, there's a virtual meeting people can join tonight where they can get the latest information on what the cleanup process is going to look like, information on advanced prep work, scheduling, how much it's all going to cost, and notifications, as well as what will and won't be removed. So things like foundations, damaged cars, hazardous trees, all of these things are going to be removed in that process.
And just because we've had recent precipitation, there is not a complete recovery of that drought. So there are still a lot of dry fuels out there. We can expect this to be a continuing issue that we will be faced with.
Sorry about that. That was a climate expert who says that fire danger is high right now, will continue high as the weather warms up. And she is talking about how that fire season really is year round now. And back here in Boulder County, that meeting will take place at 6 tonight. And you will get the opportunity to ask any questions during this meeting. And once that cleanup process starts, it is going to take a few months, with the hope being that the cleanup will be completed by this summer. We're live in Louisville this morning. I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Thanks, Christian. A ban on urban camping will begin in Aurora next month. It passed City Council in a 6-5 vote last night. The new ban requires a 72-hour notice before a homeless camp on public property can be cleared. The city also has to provide people in the encampment an alternative place to stay and storage options for those whose belongings are moved. At last night's meeting, people were still split on whether this ordinance will actually help with the homelessness problem.
We need more shelters. We don't have nearly enough.
I think that if they're contributing to helping these people find somewhere to go, then it is a good thing.
But Denver, Boulder, and Fort Collins all have similar homeless camping bans already. Aurora's mayor, Mike Kaufman, meanwhile, is introducing a proposal to conserve water as that city's population grows. The ordinance would prohibit any new golf courses from being built in Aurora, and grass would only be allowed in the backyards of new homes. It would also be limited to 45% or 500 square feet, whichever's less. The mayor says his ordinance would not apply to developments in the planning process or those that have their developmental and master plans approved before January of next year.
I think that this is about leadership for the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado has a water crisis. I think as people become more aware of the fact that we have a water crisis and we have to take additional measures, I think they're going to support this plan on a statewide basis, not just in the city of Aurora.
Mike Kaufman says the proposal had unanimous support from committee members. It'll go to a study session before arriving for a full vote in City Council.
Tonight, the Douglas County School Board is expected to formally hire its new superintendent. The contract for Erin Kane is for $250,000 per year for the next 4 years. She's currently the executive director at American Academy Charter Schools and also served as Dougco's interim superintendent from 2016 to 18. All right, taking a live look at Empower Field this morning, the home of the Broncos. Pretty quiet right now, but there is a lot of talk about it today after comments from team CEO Joe Ellis about its future. This comes after the fire last week. Major changes to the stadium probably won't come until the team finds a new owner first.
So let's get an update now from Denver 7's Veronica Acosta. Joe Ellis was talking about the owner yesterday, Veronica.
He was, and having a new owner by the start of the regular season, it is still very realistic. At least that's what Joe Ellis, the president and CEO of the Broncos, had to say yesterday. So that was all during the NFL annual meeting. Ellis said he's confident his target of sealing the deal on that new owner by September is still very much on target and able to be met. But a lot more happened during that meeting as well. Owners actually passed a resolution encouraging increased diversity among ownership as well as minority representation. This directly, of course, impacting the Broncos because the team is still very much up for sale. The league has also made this very clear. They want whoever becomes the Broncos owner to be the face of the league. They want them to be up on the stage and really be the face of that franchise.
We want a person that is going to be present and is going to be engaged and not be distant from his or her franchise. Be very visible, be very present, and those type of characteristics I think are important, and they're being relayed to the prospective bidders. The bidders all understand that.
All right, so if you're wondering, the Brooklyn Nets, they hold that record sale price of $2.35 billion over in the NFL. That title goes to the Carolina Panthers. They were actually sold for $2.27 billion. But the Broncos, here's the good news, could exceed that, get sold for up to $4 billion, you guys. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Seated by a long shot there. Thank you, Veronica. Well, so the Broncos, Ellis says it could be a challenge to get the repairs done to Empower Field before the team's home opener later this year. The stadium was badly damaged by a fire last week. You might have seen the images of one seat that turned into nearly 200 seats that burned, along with 14 suites in the area. Denver Fire says it was accidental, but they are still investigating. Some good news for summer concerts and other events planned at Empower Field. They will go on as scheduled. But when the Broncos get a new owner, they will look at upgrades to the stadium, which could cost up to $500 million.
I believe the stadium's in good shape. I believe there are some significant upgrades that need to be done and can be done to improve it, to keep up with many of the others around the league. Will it ever be SoFi or Allegiant? Probably not.
SoFi and Allegiant, home to the Rams and the Raiders. The new Broncos owners could also consider building a new stadium, which would cost up to $2 billion. We checked, and the average age for an NFL stadium is 19 years. Empower Field is 21 years old, so we're certainly in the ballpark, so to speak, Lisa.
It feels like we just built that thing, though, I tell you. Now at 6:10, it is a beautiful start to our day because, well, fire danger is going down. So a nice change for us. Winds are now shifting out of the north, anywhere from about 5 to 15 miles per hour. Higher humidities, rain on the way, rain switching over to snow. We're already seeing that snow out west. We'll take a closer look at this storm as it moves in coming up.
And we do have some chain and traction laws because of it. Right now, we have a good drive going on for most of us here in Metro Denver, getting busier in some of those usual spots out to the west side of town. They're continuing the sound wall replacement project here along I-70 going between Federal and Sheridan. The drive on the eastbound side getting a little bit busier. We'll start to see some of that slow and go traffic after Pecos getting through that lowered section of I-70 by the Coliseum.
Leaders from Russia and Ukraine are set for another round of peace talks today, where Ukraine is claiming new victories in the war. Plus, Walmart is preparing to take cigarettes off some store shelves. What will go in their place in stores?
And the film that took home the Best Picture award at the Oscars is inspiring some Colorado students to dream big.